What up, YouTube? This is Solar with Yang Zing deck profile with Ashton. Alright, let's get this started.
Alright, so it's a 44 card main deck, and I run one Tauti.
Which one is it? The original?
If you don't know what Tauti does, when he's destroyed by battle or card effect, special summons, and card who uses him as material gains the immunity to being controlled by the opponent. And obviously they have the quick effect to synchro on your opponent's turn. Next is 3 Suwani.
He wants a foil.
Same effects as Tauti, the only difference is the synchro card gains 500 attack and defense. 3 Bayan. Again, same effects, but immunity to battle. 3 Bixie.
What do you value your Psalms at?
Same effects, gains immunity to traps. 2 Pulau. A lot of people play 1, some people even play none. I like him at 2 because he's immune to spells, and he's an extra card that I can always go into when they're destroyed.
Really?
And then for the tuners, we've got 3 Chiwin. When he's destroyed by battle card effect, sent to the grave, special summons from the deck. If a card you control, Yang Zing card you control, is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon him from the graveyard. 3 Jiaotu. Heart and soul of the deck.
Like, I understand why.
First turn plays, you always want to send 2 cards off of him to summon 2. And then 2 Junk. We all know Junk. 1 Jet. Searches out the Junk, obviously, and can always get a free summon. 1 Master Chameleon. Again, another tuner, because I always run out of tuners with this deck. Having only 6 is not enough. I like having 10. Next, we'll go into the spells.
I got these 3 already, right?
I'll do 44. Did you not hear the angry boy over there?
3 Yang Zing
Why is it not 5 rounds?
Obviously, it's your recyclability and draw power. 2 Dark Bolt. We love destruction. 2 Twin Twister.
Wait, you're playing this in tournament?
Every now and then you have a dead card in hand, so it's never a problem to use Twin Twister, and obviously back row hate. 1 Soul Charge. It's Soul Charge.
Yeah, that's what I love about that.
1 Mind Control. This card saves games, it takes games. That is ridiculous. If you're facing an XYZ deck, I will cite it, because there's no sense in taking an XYZ you can't synchro with.
Player split.
2 Instant Fusion. I run Norden in the build. Norden speeds up the process. 1 Regeki. It's Regeki.
Oh, they tied. Michael.
Out of the traps.
Is it 5 rounds?
Another round.
Tyler, player split.
I don't think there is another round.
3 Creation. It is your main card of the deck. It gets everything for you. 1 card that I play at 2 is Brutality. I have actually never seen someone play this card. It is fantastic because you can double your attack or defense of your card when it's attacked. You can get Tauti up to 4,400 attack, which will get over most anything in the game. And at the end of the damage step, it destroys your card, but when you destroy, you're special summoning anyway.
One of you will make top.
Recall of the Haunted. You want your opponent to Twin Twister it as a waste. That's the best play to do with it. You always special summon off of it, and then it's destroyed. And then you special summon again. Torrential, it's Torrential. And Skill Drain. Again, it will steal your game. Most of your effects happen in grave, so you don't really care. Now on to the extra deck. So we have the 1 Norden for special summoning from the graveyard. Get your synchros off faster. You can always special summon Master Chameleon off of him, and then synchro in 8.
Go in this card, right?
Which will be shown later. We have 1 Herald. Herald is an amazing card. He will...
How do you make this?
I like to make it with Chiwin and Bayan, so he's not destroyed by battle. So you can sit on him until you want to negate a specific effect. This will win your BA matchup. Because it banishes all our cards that are sent from the deck to the graveyard.
So if they try to,
If they try to mill off a Dante, it banishes all their monsters so they don't get their effects. If they have a card effect that wants to go off, you can always negate it. Most of the time I don't because you want to sit on Herald until they get rid of him. One Armades. Situational, but it's always fun to go into. One Chambara. OTK card. You can win games just by summoning him. Goyo. Stealing opponents' cards is always fun. That's the only reason he's there.
freaking big guy.
He's the best level 6 synchro I could find. Clearwing. He will be cut soon for Crystal Wing.
Oh.
I don't. Most of the time when I go into a level 7, it's for the Yang Zing card itself, so I rarely go into him. He will become a Crystal Wing. 2 Yazi. This is the level 7 I prefer to go into. He's like Scrap Dragon, you can target one and pop them both. And when he's destroyed, he special summons from the deck. He can't be targeted. So if you get him immune to battle, Cosmos and Monarchs have problems with him. It won't stop the game, it won't win the game, but it will slow down the game enough to where you can take it. One Scarlight. Again, I rarely go into him, but he's there for those situations that my opponent has a card that's too big for me to get over, or can't be targeted, or can't be destroyed. I go into him for burn damage. If the game is within like 2,000 or so life points, I can usually steal it with him. 2 Boxia. I want to play 3. I want to find a reason to play 3, but I can't find a reason to play 3. Most of the time I will only ever go into 2, and that's all I have ever needed. So running 3 just takes up too much space. We all know Boxia's effect. We can send up to... The maximum I've gotten it up to is 4.
Oh, wow.
I've gotten it up to 4 to spin 4 off the field. And we all know the effect that he summons from the grave. There's a combo I can do with Boxia and Herald turn 1. And if I get a Instant Fusion, I also get a Norden, which will go into a second Boxia, a Scarlight, a Yazi, any one of the synchros I want to. Next we have Shofeng. At 1. If you summon him right, you win the game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So, if you don't know his effects, because a lot of people don't play him, is any of the cards that you use to synchro summon him, worm types, they're attributes your opponent cannot activate the effects of. You run every attribute in the game. So if you summon him correctly, if you're running against Burning Abyss, you can summon him with a dark and a light. They can't use dark and light effects. That's their game. They can't win. You can also make him immune to battle with those effects. So you can keep stacking them up. His next effect is when he destroys a card by battle.
So he would be a mist body, basically, like the old spell card.
More or less. He's more like a Soul Drain mixed with a Mist Body. Because he's only negating your opponent's effects. So it makes it helpful for you because you're not negating your own. So Cosmos, Monarchs, BA, any deck, if you get this out right, you win.
What are your worst matchups?
Monarchs. Monarchs have and always will be the worst matchup for this because Stormforth. If you can always win because you side obviously stuff for Monarchs, but most of the game starts for this deck is either you summon Jiao 2 and you send 2 to summon 2 and get a good synchro, which means you're going to be in a good state because you can usually synchro into Yazi and make him immune to battle, and that'll help you out.
Did they split?
However, Stormforth exists, and most of the time they will almost always start the game with either a Stormforth or a Pantheism into a Stormforth. And Stormforth with this deck is just a loss. There's nothing you can do about it. 1 Trishula. It's Trishula. We should all be running Trishula because she's back on the game. And then here's 2 cards I wish I could cut, but I can't. Is Leo, the only level 10 synchro I run. He's there just for a beat stick and for mind control. So facing a deck that runs a lot of big sticks like Monarchs and Blue Eyes, where they're all level 8 or higher, give or take, You can mind
They
control
can't
their
do
card.
anything during until their main phase 2.
Yeah. Well, he can't be targeted except for during your main phase 2, and if you mind control their level 8, you have a level 1 and a level 2 tuner. So you can always synchro with their card into Leo, just to get rid of a problem card. Last one is Star Eater. I will never cut Star Eater. I wish I could, but I can't. You can't negate a synchro summon. If you're facing a deck that's doing a lot of Solemn, all of that, my favorite thing to do is get a nice full field, pass to my opponent, and then synchro on their turn into Star Eater, who's usually immune to everything. You can make him immune to everything except for control.
Oh, Star Eater.
Yeah, because you can get him with Hulao, Bixie, Bayan,
What kind of deck
Suwani.
is
This is Ying Zing's.
Oh,
So you can get him with Hulao, Bixie, Suwani, and Bayan, and Chiwa. So that's 5 cards. That's your whole field into him. He's immune to everything,
just
literally
one summon
everything.
there, right?
The whole game. He will be immune to everything because of the cards that are
Oh,
summoning
yeah,
him.
because he used that effect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
And his synchro can't be
Can't be
negated,
negated, yeah.
so they can't solemn it. So at that point, you're stuck with this big 3,700 beat stick on field. So now let's go into the side deck.
What do you think's gonna get hit on the next ban list?
Monarchs. I feel like Stormforth will be cut either to 1 or limited. I feel like their field spell might get hit, but if anything, it'll be Pantheism.
Blue is probably gonna get hit too.
Blue Eyes will not get hit. I don't think Blue Eyes will get hit specifically because Konami wants
Because it just
Blue
came
Eyes
out.
Dark Magician meta. That's what Konami wants, is they want the old decks back. So I feel like they're going to cut Monarchs back so that Blue Eyes and Dark Magician have a better run.
Yeah.
As for Cosmos, with Blue Eyes being out, Cosmos are basically done. Having played both decks, Blue Eye Spirit Dragon ruins Cosmos. They can't float. His defense is equal to their highest card, other than Dark Planet. And you can always get around Dark Planet really easily. So now let's go into the extra deck. Side deck, sorry. I run 3 Effect Veilers. Specifically for Monarchs. It works against every deck, obviously, but Monarchs, when they summon a Dia and they go to Eidos, you Effect Veiler them, and that's their turn. Most of the time, they can't recover. It helps out a lot, but it's also good against every deck. 2 Anti-Spell. Pendulums. Most Pendulum decks are not a problem.
They're forced to put them face down.
They can't even do the Pendulum Scales,
Oh.
because Scales can't be set.
Oh.
So they can't Pendulum Summon at all if you get this card. There's always a chance it's going to be Twin Twisted or popped by a monster, but most Pendulum decks are turn 1 heavy, and then turn 2, turn 3, they are done. So if you can get this early game, unfortunately we can't control our hands. But most of the time Pendulums aren't a problem with this deck because we float. But if by chance they do get around it with a certain card, this is always your backup.
Yeah.
And then we run 3 Light Imprisonment Mirrors. I have gone back and forth with this card. I have Light Imprisoning Mirrors, I also have Shadow Imprisoning Mirrors.
Is that where you pay like 2,000 life points
No,
or something?
it negates all light effects. Shadow Imprisoning Mirror negates all dark effects. Your main tuner is a dark type.
Oh yeah.
And of course Chiwin's a light type. Most of our extra deck cards we can make immune to trap cards, so we don't care whether or not it's a light or dark type. We can always make them immune. We can plan that. This is specifically for Blue Eyes. It helps against Cosmos.
So they can't alternate and then Neo Burst.
No, they can't do any of that because they're all light types. So they can't reveal off of alternative because his effects are no longer active. They can activate it, but it won't go through. It also helps against Monarchs. They have half light, half dark. It doesn't stop them, but it does help. Again, with Cosmos, most of their pilots are light types. Some of them are dark types. A lot of people run mostly dark types. But it does help against Cosmos. It's not the best card, but it does help. Next we have 2 Mask of Restrict. This will be at 3 when I get my 3rd copy. This is for Monarchs, obviously.
Yeah. We all know how difficult that deck is.
And then we have 1 Fog King. Again, he will be bumped up to 3 once I get my copies. So the fillers for those right now are Dark Bribe. Dark Bribe is not the greatest card, but negating a spell or trap is always good. Of course, they draw one off of it. So that's why I don't like it. If they didn't draw one off of it, I'd be running it. But it is a filler for Fog King and Mask until I get those cards.
Why not Droll and Lockbird?
I don't know those cards, actually.
It's the one where they can't add cards from their deck except
To their hand?
yeah,
So I have Mistake.
except by drawing.
Yeah, so I have Mistake, which is exactly the same thing. You can't add cards from the deck to the hand except by drawing them.
But that counts for you too.
It doesn't actually hurt me. I rarely add from deck to hand. I think the only card that searches is Junk, or not Junk, but Jet.
Oh,
Yeah, Jet's the only one that actually searches in the deck. So that doesn't really inherently hurt me. It's just most decks, I'm not concerned about them adding the hand. I'm concerned about them, specifically Monarchs, tributing my stuff, banishing my stuff. Those are the only effects that get around me. I don't like to be banished, and I don't like to be tributed. I used to run Imperial Iron Wall. It's a great card. It does help you speed up because Chiwin obviously banishes
because trap
himself.
cards are can't be activated.
Yeah, but Chiwin obviously banishes himself, so Imperial Iron Wall is always helpful for that. But against Monarchs, it doesn't help enough. It doesn't help as much as Effect Veiler or Mask. And with Cosmos, it helps a lot with Cosmos, but again, Cosmos are basically done, and this deck, facing Cosmos is like a mirror match. You float, they float, it's just a continuous game. If you play Cosmos right, you will always win. The last card is Zephrinu. I do not main deck him because the only time I ever use him is off of Jiaotu. The only time you ever get him out is if you send 2 off of Jiaotu and summon him from the deck. And he is the Boxia Herald combo. You have to have him for that. So the only reason he is here is for when my opponent makes me go first. If I know I'm going first, I side this in. And then I hope to God, most of the time it happens, but I hope I start with Jiaotu and any 2 Yang Zing cards. Either spells, traps, monsters, I don't care.
Does the deck ever brick?
Yes.
Every deck does.
Every deck bricks, but the bricks with this deck are very different from others because you do run a lot of traps. So most bricks that I often end up with is either 2 or 3 traps in hand. I never, for some reason when I brick, I never get creation. It just hides from me. So my brick will usually be a brutality or 2, a couple calls, maybe a skill drain, and a couple of spells. Most running the amount of monsters I do, I run more monsters than I do spells and traps combined. So the odds of me not drawing into a monster turn 1 are very, very slim, but it does happen. And that happens with every deck. As for this deck being a meta deck, I wouldn't say it's competitive all the time.
Not yet.
Not yet. With the new cards coming, it'll make it another meta deck. It'll be competitive. This is what I would consider a mermail deck, where it's proven itself to be a very good deck, but it's also proven that it can be beaten a lot. If you
What
know
are
how to
your
play it.
best matchups?
My best matchups are Blue Eyes, because Blue Eyes has almost no real advantage against this deck other than Spirit. If they get Spirit out, you can always get around my effects because you can negate graveyard effects. That's their only play. And most of the time, I can get around that.
So they'll usually go into Spirit, the Synchro,
If they know we're playing me,
Tribute, go into Michael, pay 1,000,
banish.
Banish.
Yes. But then
then go in the Crystal Wing.
you have to remember that once they go into Crystal Wing, they no longer have the negating of the graveyard effects. So Crystal Wing is a once per turn.
Oh.
No,
Oh, it isn't?
no. For the graveyard effects, non-stop.
Do you have
Once
your
per
crystal?
turn, it's
Monster effects, yes.
wait, hold on. Not the graveyard effects. I don't think so.
So, crystal here. Activated, negate the activation, destroyed. Oh, it is not a once per turn.
No, it's
So-
only once per turn to get the attack from the monster. That's on once
Yeah.
per turn.
So again, Crystal is another problem that Blue Eyes presents, but they have to have the combo pieces for them, and Blue Eyes bricks far more than this deck does.
It's hard to get that guy out with the blue eyes deck.
We also side 3 light imprisoning mirrors because Blue Eyes is all light types, especially my Blue Eyes deck. I have a Blue Eyes deck. Light imprisoning mirror sucks.
Yeah.
It ruins the game for Blue Eyes. Another thing you have is you
can't twin twister this?
you can twin twister it,
Can.
but most of the time if you get it off once, that's pretty much game.
Done.
Oh.
Another card you have is Shofeng. If you can't get Light Imprisoning Mirror out, you can always synchro into Shofeng and make light effects done.
Oh.
And most of the extra deck cards for Blue Eyes are light and dark. If you can also summon him with light and dark, so you can negate all of their effects. Another thing that Blue Eyes can't handle is this beautiful guy here, Yazi. Can't be targeted. That's his own effect. Most of the time when you synchro him, he is immune to battle as well. So,
Yeah, the
not being able to target.
Twin eyes can go around that.
Yeah,
That's
that's the only one they have is the Contact Fusion Twin Burst. But most of the time, this will stop the Blue Eyes. So Blue Eyes isn't a huge problem.
Playing online. Did you talk?
No, I'm just building a new deck online. Yeah, and trying
Did I
to
talk?
test
Yeah.
it out.
No?
No?
So that's the only real problem with this deck is Monarchs. Everything else I can cope with.
All right. Thank you.